Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and welcome from CanDoMS. We really appreciate you tuning into this monthly webinar series. And tonight's webinar is on integrative nutrition. My name is Krista Sipp. I'll be your moderator this evening. CanDoMS delivers health and wellness education programs to help families with MS thrive. Please visit the CanDoMS website, cando-ms.org, to learn more about CanDoMS and our online programs. The mission of the National MS Society is to help people affected by MS live their best lives as they stop MS in its tracks, restore what has been lost, and end MS forever. You can explore other society programs, services, resources, and connection opportunities at nationalmssociety.org. And now I would like to thank our speakers for being here tonight. Thank you so much to Megan and Baldwin. We really appreciate you joining us. And I will go ahead and hand the presentation over to Megan to introduce herself.
Thanks, Krista. It's so exciting to be here and to see how many folks are on this call. I'm honored to work with Baldwin, who's just a really great expert in nutrition and integrative nutrition. I think we've got a great talk ahead of us. My name's Megan Weigel. I'm a doctor of nursing practice, and I work as a nurse practitioner. I have my own practice doing integrative neurology in Jacksonville, Florida. And I've been specializing in the care of people living with MS for about 20 years.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy you joined us tonight for our webinar. I'm Baldwin Sanders, and I'm an integrative and functional nutrition certified practitioner, a registered dietitian, and a certified health coach. But best of all, I've been working with CanDoMS for over 25 years, and I hope I've seen or spoken to some of you that are out there.
So our learning objectives tonight are lofty, and I know that we're going to get to all of them. We're going to talk about exactly what integrative nutrition is. We're going to give you guys easy ways to incorporate healthy foods into your diet. We're going to talk about the mind-body connection between food and you, and also how to eat mindfully, how to cook mindfully, and how to shop healthy. We're going to talk about the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen and other ways to manage the expenses of eating healthfully. And we will also give you examples of healthy nutrition. So people ask all the time, not just to Baldwin and I, but also to their MS providers, at meetings and in appointments, what's the best diet for MS? And there are tons of diets out there for MS. Baldwin's going to go over a lot of those in detail. My answer is always a healthy diet is the one that you will follow. And by that, I mean, I could say, follow this protocol or follow that protocol, but if it doesn't resonate with you culturally, energetically, and by that, I mean how much energy it takes to eat food, and financially, and also joyfully, you're not going to follow it. So a healthy diet is the one that you will follow, and we'll give you parameters for what should be in that healthy diet.
So what is integrative nutrition? Well, integrative medicine is an approach to medical care that puts the patient in the center. It addresses the full range of physical, genetics, stress, environmental influences, economic influences that affect a person's health. You're not just your MS diagnosis, but integrative medicine involves systems biology because everything is connected. It uses very appropriate conventional and alternative medicine that is evidence-based to treat the whole person. And integrative nutrition follows the same principles as integrative and functional medicine. Integrative nutrition is a practice of applying personalized nutrition care, drawing up a nutrition care plan that considers your lifestyle, your culture, your diet habits, and it incorporates mind, body, and spirit concerns. The 4 P's of integrative medicine are personalized, predictive, preventive, and participatory. I know you guys all know about P's, but anyway, it's patient-centered, so it's personalized. You have a very unique biochemistry and very unique circumstances. And so integrative nutrition and integrative medicine looks at your differences from others. It's predictive. It looks at what health concerns you're at risk for in the future and offers you advice and education on how to optimize wellness in the future as well. And in the same sense, it's preventative. It recognizes the earliest signs of a condition. For example, people that are diabetic, it looks at prediabetes and tries to prevent that condition from happening. It's also participatory. You are informed and educated so that you can make decisions for what is best for you and what works for you. This is the integrative and functional nutrition radial. And there are 5 key areas that a nutritionist works through to put together a personalized nutrition care plan. First of all, we look at your lifestyle. We look at your signs and symptoms. We look at your biomarkers, such as your labs, your MRIs, and we look at metabolic pathways, whether you're catabolic or metabolic. And we look at core imbalances, whether it's your diet, your digestion, your oxidative state. So we inquire a lot about all those different areas to pull into your personalized care plan. Now, I want to impress upon you how important nutrition is. It's very important for a healthy mind and body. And you've probably heard some of the webinars on the fact that nutrition can help you manage some of your MS symptoms, such as fatigue, bowel problems, cognition, mobility, and depression. And not only are we dealing with COVID, but we're facing a health crisis today at with epidemic levels of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease. All these are preventable diseases that are some have some role in or some way attributed to our standard American diet. And unfortunately, having MS doesn't exclude you from all these other conditions, although I think it should. The standard American diet, or SAD, is high in sugar, it's high in fat, it's high in salt. It's convenient, so you can wolf down large portions in a matter of minutes. It's things like Pop-Tarts and sodas and Lunchables. And Pop-Tarts brags about the fact that 10% of its filling is fruit. Well, that might be one blueberry. Look at all the artificial creamers that are available on the shelves. There's cream de mint, there's Bailey's, there is Kahlua. You can start your morning off with any of these kind of. I'm surprised they don't make a bourbon flavored artificial creamers. And the problem with this is it's causing all these chronic diseases that we're dealing with. And in my practice, I've seen teens with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is primarily due to their diet. So we need to be alerted to how important diet is in prevention of chronic diseases. Now, as Megan said, there are multiple diets out there in the treatment of MS, but very few have been put to clinical trials. Dr. Walls is trying to gather some more clinical data. But right now, we don't know anything, if any diet that can reverse your difficulties with MS. There's the recovery diet, the SLANK diet, the Walls protocol, and many others. And most of these contribute something to what we know about diet in MS. For example, SLANK really taught us that polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats are beneficial in MS, and that saturated fats are very harmful in MS. And the Walls protocol gives us, it's really targeted for mitochondrial damage, but it's really an anti-inflammatory diet. So it gives us some good information as far as anti-inflammatory goes. You know, some of these diets I think are kind of harsh and very difficult to follow. And so unless it can actually make you walk out of your wheelchair, I'm not sure that it's the route to go when it's so rigid and allows a few foods and not healthy all around eating pleasure diet. The Mediterranean diet and the MIND diet and anti-inflammatory diets all contribute to a beneficial way to eat for your multiple sclerosis and for your health. I think it's a good that the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association, the American Institution for Cancer Research, the Arthritis Foundation, the MIND diet are all saying the same thing. They're all encouraging you to eat colorful fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, whole grains, healthy fats, low-fat calcium foods, while at the same time limiting your intake of saturated fat, sodium, added sugars, and highly refined foods. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is when, well, let's say you get a bad mosquito bite and you feel heat, pain, redness, and swelling. And this is your immune system fighting to, it's an immune response that provides you a lot of white blood cells that can gobble up the culprit, that can decrease the toxins that are coming. And the form of heat is a temporary relief because toxins have a hard time tolerating heat, pain. The redness is when the white blood cells swarm the area that the mosquito bit and can stop the toxins. So it's very, very beneficial short term. But long term, inflammation can be a problem. And so it's that long term chronic inflammation that's a concern. Long term chronic inflammation is seen in a lot of different chronic problems, such as heart disease, Alzheimer's, arthritis, GI diseases. And we see it in autoimmunity when your body attacks its own cells and joints. And we have many drugs that reduce inflammation, such as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But chronic inflammation, may be the root cause of many diseases. So you see chronic inflammation in heart disease, breast cancer, lung cancer, obesity, colitis, Crohn's disease. So they may be the root causes that are inflammatory. That's our concern. So there are many types of food that affect how much inflammation you have. And an anti-inflammatory diet contains lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, plant-based proteins, fish that are high in omega-3s, spices and foods that are probiotic, like yogurt and fermented foods. Whereas saturated fats are highly inflammatory. And you see saturated fats in beef fats, butter, cheese. Sugar is highly inflammatory. And so we want to limit those foods and fall back on the healthier type of foods. The MIND diet is anti-inflammatory. And MIND stands for Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. It's a brain-friendly diet. It comes out of research done at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago. And it was research done on aging and Alzheimer's, which has very different neuropathology than MS. But studies showed that people that followed the MIND diet lowered their risk of Alzheimer's by 54%. And if they followed it somewhat, they lowered their risk by 35%. Now, the MIND diet is a very healthy, delicious diet. It means that you have at least 3 servings of whole grains, and that could be like a whole grain cereal in the morning, like oatmeal, whole grain breads at lunch, brown rice or quinoa at dinner. It's at least 2 vegetables a day, and it can be 1 serving of one serving of vegetables that's a whole cup. So it varies at least twice a week. It uses nuts as a good snack. It tries to get more beans and legumes in your diet at least every other day. Poultry is recommended, and fish. And I really like to promote fish once or twice a day. It includes red wine because it's loaded in antioxidants. It doesn't mean that if you don't drink, you should start drinking, but red wine can be beneficial in limited amounts. Now, it does limit saturated fats like butter and margarine, and switches you to olive oil or monounsaturated fats or polyunsaturated fats. It does limit cheese and fried foods and fast foods to less than once a week. And pastries and sweets are limited to infrequently or 1 time a week. Now, recognize that brain fog or cognitive challenges are multifactorial. So it means, are you getting restful sleep? Are you having medication side effects? Anxiety. So we're looking at taking into all these things into account and looking at mind-body connections like meditation, breathing, yoga. All these things contribute as well as your diet. Healthy fats. So there's evidence that MS diet, lowering saturated fat and high in polyunsaturated fat, such as omega-3 fatty acids, and monounsaturated fats are beneficial. So we really encourage you to eat fish twice a week and choose olive oil or avocado oil or grapeseed oil, healthy nuts and butters, like snacking on an apple and peanut butter. Fish in parchment paper. That's the easiest way to cook fish, and it's delicious. But we're encouraging you to lean towards these healthy fats. Research trials show that eating more mono and polyunsaturated fats in place of simple carbohydrates can be very, very helpful. And so monounsaturated fats includes olive oil, canola oil, avocado oils, nuts and butters. And canola oil, we have some GMO concerns. So I prefer you to concentrate on the avocado oil and the grapeseed oil and the olive oil. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. Eating fish twice a week is a good way to go, including walnuts and flaxseed oils. Higher omega-3 fats are associated with lower risk of premature death, such as omega-3s and fish oils. Now, we do want you to try to stay away from saturated fats. These are the cold, hard, and friendly fats, like beef fat, pork fat, chicken skin fat, butter, cheeses, cream, palm oil, palm kernel oil, trans fat, and hydrogenated fats. Those are the cold, hard, and friendly fats that we want you to cut back in diet. So I want you to read your labels to avoid saturated fat. We want you to limit your fat to 15 to 20 grams of saturated fat. And if you look at this food label, this product has about 3 grams of saturated fat, and which is about 15% of your daily values for fat. And 15%, anything over 10% is considered a good source. Well, we don't want a good source of saturated fat. So we want you to keep lower than 10% when you're looking at food labels. And trans fats are equally as evil. And this has 3 grams of saturated trans fats, and we don't want you to get any trans fats. So don't buy this product. It has way too much of the wrong kinds of fats. Okay, so healthy protein. Lean proteins, like lean beef, chicken, and fish, cottage cheese, yogurt, skim milk, mozzarella cheese sticks. Nut butters are great snacks. Small amounts of nuts. Boiled eggs is a good nutritional snack. I encourage you to get more beans in your diet, whether it's red beans, white beans, black beans, chestnut, jelly beans. Tuna fish or fish are a great way to get good proteins. So I'm getting you to eat a lot of healthy proteins to build and repair. The next, I want to talk to you about healthy carbohydrates. And this is good fuel for you and good for your GI tract. We want these healthy carbohydrates to fuel your gut microbiome and prevent diverticulosis as well. Food is your fuel. That's why we use in a more complex carbohydrates, like whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. These are digested much more slowly and bring your blood sugar up much slower than simple carbohydrates like sugar. Sugar and sugar and sweets bring your blood sugar up really rapidly, and then you produce a lot of insulin, and you tend to crash. So we want you, and that when you produce a lot more insulin, that's really can be concerning. So we want you to get more fiber in your diet. And beans are very high in fiber. Have 8 grams of fiber and 8 grams of protein per serving, about half a cup. Now, Americans get an average about 12 to 15 grams of fiber. We want you to get 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. That's for a healthy GI tract and for a healthy gut microbiome. And especially if you suffer from constipation, which not only is prominent in MS, but our whole, everybody suffers from constipation. So we want you to get more fiber. So if you can get more beans and at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, you're going to do your GI tract. There's been a tsunami of research on the gut microbiome in MS. Okay, so you have trillions of microbes in your GI tract, bacteria, fungus, and yeast. And a tremendous amount of these are beneficial and provide all kinds of fighters and communicate to the brain and immune system from the GI tract. And there are a number of studies that have shown that people with MS exhibit gut dysbiosis, and that diet plays a crucial role in improving fiber, plays a crucial role in improving that gut microbiome. Probiotics and prebiotics are very beneficial for the gut microbiome. Probiotics are live organisms like yogurt and kefir, and it's bacteria fermented in food. It's good bacteria. Prebiotics are live foods for the probiotics, or organisms that help feed the probiotics. And they're foods that are high in fiber, fruits and vegetables, garlics, onions, leeks, all kinds of delicious foods that can enhance that gut microbiome. So we want you to look for getting a higher fiber diet for your gastrointestinal health. Okay, and if you're looking at this label, it's got more than 6 grams of dietary fiber. Okay? And anything over 10% of your daily values is a good source. Anything over 20% is an excellent source. So this product is an excellent source of fiber. Okay. And as you can see, it has lots of vitamins and minerals. Now, if you look at the top, it's also got 11% of saturated fat, but it's very high in the poly and monounsaturated fats as well. So this is actually a really good food to consume despite its saturated fat intake. Can anybody guess what this is? It's avocados. So that's a good source.
So thanks, Baldwin. This is really great information, and I think that you guys can tell how integrative nutrition might be personalized, because some of the foods that Baldwin mentioned, I'm sure some of you were like, oh, yeah, I eat those all the time, and others of you were like, oh, gosh, I can't imagine eating those all the time. And that's why we really like to work with each of you in an individual manner to help you figure out how you can eat healthfully according to your needs and your desires with food. So tonight I'm going to take you on a little grocery store GPS. And what that means is basically a tour of your grocery store. Now, I don't know about you guys. I live in Florida, and our grocery stores are set up with, let's say, perishables. Let's call them perishables around the perimeter of the store, and non-perishables inside the store. So in the center of the store. Um, and by that, I mean natural foods along the perimeter and processed foods in the middle for the most part, minus, say, the frozen food section. So when we are talking about, first of all, going to the grocery store with MS, one of the things that we want to maximize is your energy. So you don't want to run out of your day's worth of energy by going to the grocery store. So one question to ask yourself is, do you have the time or the energy to browse around your local grocery store looking for things that you need? Or should you plan out your strategy before you go? Another thing to think about is, do you have the time or the energy to go to different stores? And so by that, I mean, I'll use an example of like a big chain grocery store versus maybe a smaller health food store. Um, you need to go to the smaller health food store because they don't have some of those things at the grocery store. But then at the smaller health food store, they don't have your cleaning products or your saline for your contacts. So there might be times when you need to go to two different stores, and do you have the time or energy for that? How can you maximize your shopping experience? And also, do you want the most bang for your buck or the most bang for your time? And by that, again, I'll speak to the larger chain grocery stores versus some of the more discount stores that may be a little bit cheaper and have lots of organic foods, or the health food stores that may be a lot more expensive but have more organic food. So you just want to think about where you can get most of what you need without expending too much energy. So let's take a little tour of the store here. So rule number one, when you're thinking about things you need, is shopping the perimeter. And so in most grocery stores, what you'll find is these perishable fresh foods are on the perimeter. So you'll have poultry, you'll have red meats and the butcher area on one side of a perimeter, you'll have fish and seafood on the other, and then you'll have your produce on the other side with bulk foods, which very often bulk foods include a lot of our whole grains. You can buy legumes and beans and nuts and seeds and rices and whole grain pastas in bulk. So you really want to concentrate on shopping the perimeter. And if you have to go inside in the middle, down the coffee aisle, the cereal aisle, the cracker aisle, the frozen food aisle, you want to only buy products that have 5 or less ingredients and only have ingredients that you can pronounce. So I'll give you an example here. You could buy a cracker, a whole grain cracker with ranch flavoring that appears to be good because it says whole grain on the box, right? But then when you turn it over and read the ingredients, you have all these long words. Sometimes they're the length of the side of the box with the artificial seasonings and chemicals and things that they're using to infuse the crackers with those flavors. And then you can go and say, well, let me try to find another whole grain cracker experience. And actually, you can pick up a box of Triscuits. They have 3 ingredients. So it's, you don't necessarily have to be buying fancy foods to be having an experience where a food has less than 5 ingredients and all things that you can pronounce. And then rule number 3 is sticking to the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. And I'll talk about those here in the next couple of slides. The reason that I want to point these out are because many people think that eating healthfully means that everything you buy has to be organic. And it's just utterly insane economically to think that you can shop and buy everything organic. And the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen are lists that are put out yearly by the Environmental Working Group. They're relevant to the United States of America, not to Canada, not to Europe. I know we have so many people on this call and I don't know where everyone is coming from, but they are specific to the United States of America based on the pesticides that we use in farms in our country and how things are grown. So this year's Clean 15 includes vegetables that you can buy non-organic. So these are all the things that you can just say, phew, I don't have to buy the $5.99 head of organic broccoli. I can buy the $2.19 head of regular broccoli. Avocados, sweet corn. Now Baldwin and I could probably do a whole hour webinar or longer on our feelings about corn, because corn is probably one of the most highly genetically modified products in our country. So whether or not you're buying organic, you want to be careful with your use of corn. There's also a lot of people who are sensitive to it. But also on the Clean 15 list, pineapple, onions, papaya, sweet peas, eggplants, asparagus, cauliflower, cantaloupes, mushrooms, cabbage, honeydew, kiwi, all of these things, you can say, I can save a lot of money by just buying regular types of these products. Next slide. Now we'll talk about the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen are foods that have produce products that have the most pesticide residue. And in the United States for 2019, so our 2020 list, which is usually about the same every year, these are the produce items that you always want to buy organic if you can. Strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, and potatoes. So if you think about these things, they are fruits or vegetables that are being sprayed directly, that have skin that we eat for the most part, or they're root vegetables growing from the ground. So they're soaking up everything that's put in the ground. These can get pretty expensive depending on where you live in the country and the time of the year. Organic berries can be pretty expensive. There are also times when organic berries go on sale and you can buy 3 pints of organic strawberries for $10. It's a lot of strawberries, and there's actually no way you could eat all of those before they go bad. So I actually encourage people to buy them when they're on sale, wash them, chop them, and freeze them. And then when they go out of season, you can use them, put them in smoothies, put them in oatmeal, use them with kefir, blend them up with kefir and make a smoothie. Same thing with peaches, apples, all of this stuff you can buy and freeze when it goes on sale. Now in most grocery stores, you can buy organic spinach and organic kale frozen. So that's a little bit easier and it can be cheaper. I like to use frozen chopped spinach and kale when I make soups, because it's a good way to sneak greens into my husband and son's diet without them fussing. So if you just focus on these 12 things and buying them organically in the in the produce section, then I guarantee you will save a lot of money on your grocery bill than trying to buy everything organic. And I say that from my own experience as well. So let's talk about how you can save time when you're shopping, and also, more importantly, how you can save energy. Gosh, you guys, I can't tell you how many stories I have heard from people living with MS who say the best thing they ever did is to use one of the motorized carts in a grocery store, even if you don't have to use an assistive device like a motorized wheelchair or a scooter in your regular daily activities. If you think about going to the grocery store and shopping either for yourself or your family just once a week, it's a pretty tedious task, not just physically, but also cognitively. thinking about, where things are, going in a conscious way around the grocery store. So planning out your trip so that you're not going back and forth among the aisles. But using an assistive device like the motorized scooter or cart can save you tons of energy and time, and I encourage you to do it. It could be the difference between you just going to the grocery store one day, and going to the grocery store and being able to go to your child's baseball game later that afternoon, or to attend a meeting in the evening or something like that. You can also consider using grocery delivery services. I mentioned Shipt and Instacart because that's what I'm familiar with here in my area, but I know there are tons of others. Many of them have introductory pricing, or free delivery, and then you tip your delivery person. And I'll tell you that right now, during our pandemic, Shipt and Instacart have been lifesavers for people who are afraid to go out into the community and actually do their shopping by themselves, or I'm sorry, it in the store, because they're just afraid of their risk of COVID. So if you're having a bad day, or you look ahead, one of the things that CanDo teaches us with our awesome occupational therapists is to make plans for a week. And if you look ahead and you see a busy week ahead of you, and your grocery trip on Sunday takes it out of you, go ahead and get delivery that week and just save yourself some energy for the things that you're looking more forward to during the rest of the week. You can also save time and energy by buying frozen produce, so things that are already frozen, therefore you don't have to chop, prepare, and freeze it. You can just put it in the freezer when you get home. You can save time and energy by buying meal kits. Most of the larger chain grocery stores have prepared meals now for you, and they definitely have healthy ones and unhealthy ones. And the healthy ones are usually marked so. So they'll say on the package, whole grain, vegetable, lean protein, something like that. They're usually in the frozen section or in the butcher section, because they're prepared in the store. And you can consider meal ordering. There are two ways to do this. One would be with a delivery service, something like Blue Apron. Oh gosh, there are so many. Sunbasket is another one. They seem to be popping up all the time. There are also local businesses, I'm sure, where you live, where you can get prepared meals either delivered, or you can pick up prepared meals. And they're usually marketed to groups of people who are, let's say, fitness buffs, right? So it's like a get your paleo meals 5 a week for this cost, or gluten-free meals this many a week for this cost. And while they do subscribe to a very specific type of diet, they do follow all of the principles that Baldwin spoke about. So you want to look for prepared meals that have lean protein, they're high in omega-3s, that have a vegetable and a whole grain, that don't have saturated fats, that use low-fat dairy. All these principles that we've already talked about. And I encourage folks to just get some of those just to have on hand, because they're certainly healthier than a TV dinner. So if you decided to just buy a week's worth of dinners from a local business that has that sort of service, you could just put them in the freezer. And then when you're not up to cooking, you have a healthier dinner choice or a healthier lunch choice than if you were to just pull out a healthy choice meal, for example, that's loaded with sodium and chemicals. Another tip would be to make soup. Use bone broth. I like bone broth because it's higher in protein than regular broth. Or you could use regular broth or vegetable broth if you are a vegan or a vegetarian. You can get a bag of organic vegetable medley and just dump it in the soup. You can put in some lean protein of your choice if you want to do that. And you've got lunch for the week. in a crock pot or in a big stovetop pot. So those are some resource saving tips for shopping. I think the next slide will come up here shortly. These are some resource saving tips for saving money. So register for coupons. When I was, a young lass, I think when I was 10 years old, I started clipping coupons because my mom would give me the money we saved to put in a piggy bank for saving for a car, college, or something, and now most of the coupon saving is done via a smartphone. And I highly encourage you to get the app for the stores that you go to most often and check those coupon savings. When you get to checkout, you usually just put in a phone number and the coupons that you've chosen load into your cart, and the savings comes off. Also, buy what's in season when you're buying fruits and vegetables. This causes you to rotate your fruits and vegetables, so you're not eating only apples all year long, only broccoli all year long. You really want to shop like we used to farm before we had the ability to have whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And I'll tell you that I see clients in my practice who come in and they tell me they're eating healthy and they're very surprised to find that they're nutrient deficient. And they're nutrient deficient because they eat the same 5 things every single day. And they may not be eating enough fat, and they may not be varying their vegetables or their fruits enough. So it's important to definitely buy what's in season. And if you like the other things and they're on sale, like I said, buy them and freeze them and pull them out. Just vary your vegetables. Buy and freeze, we already talked about that. Buy meats and seafood when they're on sale and freeze. If you eat chicken, you can get great deals on chicken. Just put it right in the freezer. If you shop at some of the larger big box stores like Costco, Sam's, BJ's, these sorts of places, then you can buy large quantities of meats and seafoods and freeze them. And you can save money that way as well. Same thing with produce at those larger stores. So cooking for energy conservation. First of all, like our OT colleagues say, meal plan, and then make more than you need. So if you have room in your kitchen to double your recipe and freeze it. Put it in the, put it in some ball jars or in plastic baggies. If you're like me and you're reducing your use of single-use plastics, you can get silicone bags that freeze. Keep it simple. Meal prep in such a way that you don't look like the Tasmanian devil. So get your list of the things that you need, gather everything in one place, bring a stool or a chair over to where you're going to prepare your food, and then store it. Use electrical appliances, so an electrical can opener instead of a handheld can opener. That's the one that's coming to mind right now. I'm sure there are others. An electrical mixer instead of, mixing things by hand, to literally save energy, to help your core temperature stay down so that you don't get fatigued. Use adaptive aids, and a suggestion for that would be actually getting a consultation with an occupational therapist. An adaptive aid in the kitchen that's not creative, because I'm not an OT, is a grabber to grab something, on a shelf in the pantry that you can't reach. But OTs can make amazing things out of nothing. So if you need some adaptive hints for your kitchen, I'd ask for a consultation with an occupational therapist. And then pace yourself. So if, again, you expend a week's worth of energy making meals on Sunday, don't do that anymore. Make one meal at a time, or make, a large meal, eat it for 2 days, and then make the next meal. So don't expect too much of yourself. There's always enough time. So I think this is still me, right, Baldwin? Yeah. So how to eat. So this is our 9-inch plate here, right? A very typical plate. Underneath it is a charger, if for those of you who are fancy, and you certainly can eat on the charger, but it's a bigger plate. So we're talking about portion sizes here. So let's move on to the next slide, and we'll see how to fill up our 9-inch plate. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. Let's go back to the 9-inch plate. So most of your 9-inch plate should be vegetables. So we're going to have dark green leafy salad. We're going to have another vegetable, maybe it's broccoli or cauliflower or asparagus or green beans. Then we're going to have a protein or a fish that's high in omega-3 fatty acids. And then we're going to have a complex carbohydrate. So maybe it's brown rice, maybe it's quinoa, maybe it's a whole grain pasta. But most of your plate is going to be things that come out of the ground. Now I'm ready. So let's talk about eating, and I'm going to cruise through this so that we have time to get to questions. Eating mindsets. There are two ways that we talk about eating mindfully. Both of them involve trusting your instincts. So mindful eating means paying attention to your eating experience without judging it. Intuitive eating means using the information that you're given, so nutritional information, without judgment, respecting your body to eat for physical rather than emotional reasons, relying on hunger and satiety cues, and giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. How do you do that? So tips. First of all, enjoy the preparation of your food. Most of us are in such a hurry these days that we throw things together. It's on the table, people are eating, probably one member of the family isn't even sitting yet. But you really want to enjoy the preparation of the food, enjoy the sights and the smells associated with food. Put electronics away from the eating space, hold space only for eating and connecting with people at your table. And sit down. Before you eat, take a deep breath, become present to your meal, and give yourself permission in just that moment of time to eat as little or as much as you want and to enjoy it. Some people like to give thanks, to say grace, or to express gratitude for who grew and prepared the food. And I think that's a really important part of the meal, because food is nourishing your body. You can also develop a mealtime ritual to kind of set the mood. So maybe you put on some music. I call it dinner time. I have playlists that are like dinner time music. They make me happy. Maybe you set the table. Maybe you just take a minute, 30 seconds to be still. And you can have a wonderful eating experience if you're alone. So if you're not alone, connect with others around you. If you are alone, connect with your mind and your body. How hungry are you? What does the food taste like? What kind of experience are you having? Take in all of your senses, the way the food looks, smells, tastes, the way it feels in your mouth. Try to identify and separate the flavors that you taste. And then listen to your body. Have you had enough? Did you eat really fast and so you're not even full yet, but you might want to wait a little bit longer before you take more? Honor your internal cues and then reject the dieting mindset. So shift your focus from restricting to enjoyment. Shift your focus from food is an issue for me to what I'm putting in my body is healing, it's medicine, and it makes me feel good. Shift your focus to making a choice to enjoy your experience, and to knowing that the choice that you're making is healthful, is nourishing, and is going to help your body work the way that it's supposed to, rather than I wish I could have that, or I can't have this because I have to have that. Look how beautiful this plate of food looks right here. To me, it looks beautiful. And to some people, it might look healthy and yucky, but to me, it looks like a beautiful choice for nourishing my body. Next slide. So let's talk very quickly about supplements. Eating versus supplementing is a question that we get all the time. And the bottom line is that your body prefers to get its nutrients from foods. Supplements are certainly used to correct deficiencies. Most commonly, they're used to correct vitamin B deficiencies, D as in dog deficiencies, sometimes vitamin C deficiency, which we don't usually see anymore. But if you just haphazardly take supplements, there can be drug interactions, side effects from the supplements, and sometimes supplements are adulterated or have unsafe ingredients. So when they studied supplements that come from China or India, they actually have found traces of cholesterol lowering medications, anti-diabetes medications, and antihypertensive medications in them. Whole foods, however, don't usually cause drug interactions, and the major exception is warfarin. If you eat large quantities of green leafy vegetables, you can increase your clotting factor, or your clotting time to clot, and also MAO inhibitors, which are medications that were used quite a long time ago in mental health. There are some still used today to treat Parkinson's disease, and also one of the newer disease modifying therapies for MS is converted to an MAO inhibitor in the body. So it's important that you know what those types of foods might be that interact with those drugs. But whole foods provide much greater nutrition, greater antioxidant protection without health risks, and much more bang for your buck. They also are created already with the chemistry that your body needs to use the nutrients they have effectively. This is just an example. So this was a meta-analysis that was published in the JAMA Cardiology Journal in 2018. It looked at 10 trials involving over 77,000 individuals and using omega-3 fatty acid supplements to decrease the risk of cardiovascular disease. And what they found is that the results from studying these 10 trials provided no support for the current recommendations to use omega-3 fatty acid supplements for the prevention of fatal coronary heart disease or any cardiovascular disease in people who have or are at high risk for developing cardiovascular disease. And the final line in the article in the discussion section was that people should concentrate on eating foods that are higher in omega-3 fatty acids than they should in taking a supplement. Now, omega-3 fatty acids as a supplement does have benefit for specific bullet point things like lowering triglycerides, potentially helping with mental health and memory and things like that. But specifically for this outcome measure, the recommendation is to eat the food, not take the supplement. So our final points before we get to questions are: eating matters, diet does contribute to overall health, and food is medicine. Baldwin, I'll let you take those last two. Oh, take yourself off mute.
Don't bite off more than you can chew. Small changes can improve your health. And I really believe that taking steps can improve your health.
So thanks, and I think we're going to move on to questions. I'm sure Krista's been busy over there.
We are, yeah, we've had a ton of great questions come in, so thank you to everyone who submitted questions. I did want to say, we have had so many that we're definitely not going to make it to all of them tonight. So if for some reason we do not get to your question this evening, please feel free to go to our website, CanDo-MS.org. Under the resources section, we have a Q&A, a question and answer section, and you can submit any questions there that we don't get to live this evening. As a reminder, following the program, we will ask you to complete a live survey, which will pop up on your screen at the conclusion of the webinar. So just wanted to say that. Please hang on and make sure to give us feedback at the end of this. But first, let's answer some of your questions. So both Megan and Baldwin, feel free to jump in if you think this question pertains more to you. I'm guessing you're both going to have answers to a lot of these. One question that was brought up a lot was inflammation again. So are there natural products, fruit, vegetables, supplements that help reduce pain and
Yes,
inflammation?
all of the above. So I think Baldwin gave really a great summary of every type of food that she addressed as being healthful, reduces inflammation. Um, and from the standpoint of supplements, and actually we didn't touch on spices, but cooking with spices like garlic, ginger, and turmeric, they're also very anti-inflammatory. And from a supplement standpoint, taking turmeric can help with inflammation if you don't have a contraindication to taking it. I think Baldwin would agree that taking things out of your diet, like processed sugars, sugar sweetened beverages, white flours, just doing that alone can decrease inflammation and improve pain.
And what about dairy?
Baldwin's
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just agreeing with what Megan said. And I think small steps matter and add up. And so, but start with eating more fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I was just going to say, to kind of piggyback on that question, what about dairy? Someone said, my wife says it causes inflammation. Is that true? I'm not sure.
There's some that say it is inflammatory and some that say it isn't. And we're looking at the casein or the protein in the milk, not lactose or a lot of people are lactose intolerant. That's a different kind of intolerance, but the casein is a fairly large protein, and our dairy cows are Holsteins for the most part, and so they actually have higher amounts of casein. So generally, when I do diets, elimination diets, then I get them to eliminate dairy and right away, and then introduce it back to see if there's any concerns with dairy. But I think it's debatable at this point.
Awesome. Thank you. And then with the upcoming holidays, this one kind of resonated with me. I enjoy breads, potatoes. What can I eat that will help my cravings during this time?
I think one thing to do is make sure you're hydrated, to drink plenty of fluids, because when you're dehydrated and heating systems dehydrate us, then we interpret that as hunger. Also, I'd say try not to have it available. Have good foods available. And also, if you eat more fruits and vegetables, if you fill up on that category, then you may find yourself not wanting as much of the sugars and the sweets that are available. So I think you have to beware of having it around you, making sure that it's up on a tall shelf, or, that you're
Try to
and I'd say too, if you go to a party and that's something that you're fearful of, this is a principle of mindful eating. Give yourself permission to eat it, because the minute it's no longer a forbidden food, the less likely you're probably going to be to obsess about it. What if I have it? No, if you just say, hey, if I want to have a roll at that party, I'm going to have a roll at that party. And then you're probably going to end up walking right past the rolls because they're not even an issue to you anymore. You might want to say, take a look at what your social schedule is like and say, I'll allow myself one serving of one of these things that I like, once or twice a week over the holidays instead of 3 servings every time you're at a party.
And eating mindfully, slower, smaller bites, choosing your foods well. Make sure you start off with piles of vegetables and to
Don't
fill
go to a
yourself
party.
up. What was that?
Don't go to a party hungry.
Yeah.
Have a healthy snack before you go
Be
to a
sure
party
you're drinking fluids there.
and drink lots of fluids.
And then kind of on the other side of things, we had a lot of questions also about intermittent fasting. So I kind of wanted to get each of your take on that. Healthy, helpful, what do you guys think?
I think intermittent fasting can be beneficial. I've thought that for a long time, but I think some people are really short windows. So I think a 12-hour fast is a good idea from 8 to 8 or something like that. Longer fasts, I think, are a little bit harder to do, a little bit harsher. But the results for a lot of different conditions have actually found it regulated blood sugar, and that certainly surprised me.
Yeah, I rely a lot on examples of science that's come way, way before me. And so in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, which are thousands of years old, they don't call it an overnight fast. They just advocate for eating dinner earlier and then not eating until you've been up in the morning after you've done your nurturing, say your prayer, your meditation, your exercise. And that equates to about a 12-hour fast. In the cancer literature, the sweet spot for secondary prevention of cancer is a 13-hour fast. Longer didn't make you any more or less likely to get cancer again, and shorter didn't either. I personally feel that some of the longer fasting times, especially if a person has an eating disordered history, can contribute to eating disordered behavior. And so I really like that overnight fast. It gives your liver time to rest, your digestive system time to rest. It does help with blood sugar. It can help with focus. Um, and and cravings even.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight. I think that'll be good for a lot of people to hear about that. Now let's see what's our time at. I think we have time for one more question. So let's see. Are there foods or supplements that support memory or concentration?
I don't think there are foods, or for a while there, people thought ginkgo, for example, but I don't think there are medications or supplements that actually help you that much with memory.
Yeah, so the diet that Baldwin mentioned the most is the MIND diet, the Mediterranean Dash Initiative for Neurodegenerative Disease. That diet was studied specifically in Alzheimer's disease and prevention of Alzheimer's disease. And people who followed that diet with those foods, which were all the things Baldwin mentioned, were less likely to develop dementia. So all of these healthy foods that we talk about prevent these medical comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, other inflammatory conditions that actually insult your brain in an inflammatory way, and they just add fuel to the fire when you have MS. I think it's like Baldwin said, don't bite off more than you can chew. It's easy to make one change. Start eating one healthy thing and take one unhealthy thing out of your diet and see how you feel. From a supplement standpoint, there are plenty of supplements that claim that they increase your focus, increase your concentration, or improve your memory. But the fact is, there's just not great data for any of them. Many of them have significant drug interactions. And also many of them theoretically stimulate your immune system, which already doesn't work right. And so they theoretically could make your MS a little bit more active. So I think it's best to focus on nutrition.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, awesome. Thank you, ladies. This
Well, and
webinar
let's
may
just say too, Krista, real quick, you
Yeah.
know, we can't forget all the other principles, you know, the sleep, the stress reduction, the exercise, the social connection, you know, all these things that we advocate for at CanDo, making some of these small changes in your life. They don't have to be huge, but can really affect your quality of life in a positive way.
Awesome. Okay. So the webinar may be over, but we hope that you'll stay connected with us on social media for the latest info on programs, resources, and MS news. You can also register for our monthly e-news here as well, cando-ms.org. I'd also like to highlight some resources available from the National MS Society. They have a variety of brochures, video segments that can be accessed on their website, nationalmssociety.org. And you can also contact the MS Navigator at 1-800-344-4867. We also have changed all of our Jumpstart programs to virtual. Everything is virtual now. These personalized Jumpstarts include learning segments, 3 self-guided courses, and a live online program, which includes group discussions and Q&A sessions with MS experts like Megan and Baldwin. Register today and attend our popular programs from the safety of your home. The opportunity for online learning and connection is ever present right now and more important than ever in the MS community. CanDo On Demand offers advice from MS experts as they present topics on everything from cognition to exercise. Access all of these topics on our website. And the next presentation in our webinar series will be on Tuesday, December 8th at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The topic is adaptation for staying active and involved. We will have a physical therapist and an occupational therapist joining us for this program. So we all hope to see you there.